According to reports, religious authorities in Russia are asserting that the preserved body of a Buddhist lama who passed away almost a century ago was observed moving through a museum with the goal of promoting global peace. The well-respected Buddhist leader in Russia, Lama Dashi Dorjo Itigilov, who was prominent both before and after the Bolshevik Revolution, is typically enshrined in a see-through sarcophagus that can be found on the upper level of his palace in Siberia's Ulan-Ude. Local religious leaders have recently reported that they possess CCTV footage that shows the Lama moving on two separate occasions in what they believe could be interpreted as a message for global harmony. This information was discovered as of Monday night and provides potential insight into his actions. Certain followers of Buddhism maintain that the Lama, who was interred in the lotus position after his demise in 1927 and then unearthed years later without significant decomposition, either endures in a state resembling nirvana or undergoes a type of hibernation. Lama Damba Ayushev, the present leader of the Buddhist traditional Sangha, has responded to skeptics who suggested that a security guard wearing military attire, carrying two bags and donning shoes is captured in one of the indistinct images. According to the Siberian Times, a photograph depicts a blurry figure in the foreground, and another photo taken a day later shows a similar figure near a sofa. Ayushev, who hails from the Republic of Buryatia, a predominantly Buddhist region of Russia, made a serious remark when he wrote, "This statement is not meant to be humorous. I can clearly distinguish a human outline in the photograph, and I am confident that there cannot be anyone present in the palace of Kambo Lama Itigilov currently." At around 8 in the evening, as per his account, the witness claims the Lama's chamber was empty and inaccessible to anyone. According to his statement, the Lama is seated on his throne about 5 or 6 meters away down the hall, while the individual currently standing is situated at the entrance of the room. A new photo that seems to depict Lama Itiligov has surfaced, showing him relocated beside the couch. The visual content lacks in clarity, and the creator has not shared complete footage. However, the image is claimed to have been activated by activity within the enclosed space. Ayushev expressed his surprise and shock upon seeing the image, which he had a vague mental inkling of, but was unprepared to witness in reality. Tubdan Buldanov, the representative of the Buddhist traditional Sangha of Russia, affirmed that there was a movement of Lama Itigilov. However, he also mentioned that his appearance in camouflage was unclear and unexplained at the moment. Perhaps this is a symbol or message indicating that international organizations should prioritize working towards peace. Lama Itiligov, who was born in 1852, was a person of high standing in the spiritual community of Russia during the Tsarist rule, particularly prior to the Bolshevik Revolution. In 1913, he participated in the House of Romanov's centenary celebrations, a Buddhist temple located in St. Petersburg, which was the first of its kind in the city. In 1927, a well-known Lama passed away after advising his fellow Buddhist monks to depart from the Soviet Union as he foresaw that they would be inundated with the teachings of communism. Upon his passing, he requested to be buried in the same position as he had taken his final breath, that is, in the lotus position. Upon examining his remains in 1955 and 1973, the monks were surprised to find a complete lack of decomposition. Despite this discovery, the monks refrained from sharing their knowledge with Soviet officials. In September 2002, the body of Itigilov was unearthed once again, this time in the presence of Russia's Buddhist traditional Sangha leaders. It was closely examined by monks, as well as by scientists and pathologists. The discovered remains were observed to be in an extraordinarily well-preserved state, indicating that the individual had passed away approximately 36 hours prior. Interestingly, there were no apparent signals of decay on the body, and based on reported observations, the muscles, inner tissue, skin, and soft joints remained unharmed. There are conflicting reports regarding the condition of the Lama. Some contend that he was conserved in salt, while others argue that he is in a state of hibernation, akin to nirvana, and still living. Nirvana is a central concept in Buddhism, representing the ultimate goal of spiritual liberation and enlightenment. Derived from the Sanskrit word meaning extinction or blowing out, nirvana refers to the cessation of suffering and the attainment of liberation from the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. In Buddhist philosophy, existence is characterized by the cycle of samsara, This cycle is governed by the law of karma, which states that one's actions in past lives determine their current circumstances and future lives. According to Buddhism, this cycle of suffering can be transcended through the realization of nirvana. Nirvana is often described as a state of perfect peace, liberation, and enlightenment. It is the complete cessation of craving, attachment, and ignorance, which are considered the root causes of suffering. When one attains nirvana, they are said to have overcome the delusions and defilements of the mind, attaining a state of profound wisdom, compassion, and inner peace. The path to nirvana is outlined in the teachings of the Buddha, who emphasized the importance of the Four Noble Truths and the Noble Eightfold Path. The Four Noble Truths state that life is characterized by suffering. Suffering arises from attachment and craving. There is an end to suffering, and the path to the end of suffering is through the Noble Eightfold Path. The Noble Eightfold Path consists of 8 interconnected principles or practices that guide individuals towards the realization of nirvana. These include right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. The path encompasses ethical conduct, mental cultivation, and insight into the nature of reality. Nirvana is often described as beyond conceptual understanding or verbal expression. It is a state of direct experience that transcends the limitations of the ordinary mind. It is an experiential realization of the true nature of reality, free from the distortions of attachment, aversion, and ignorance. In Buddhism, nirvana is not seen as a place or a reward, but rather as a state of consciousness and awakening. It is the culmination of spiritual practice and the end of the cycle of suffering. Attaining nirvana liberates one from the cycle of samsara, freeing them from the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. However, it is important to note that nirvana is not a state of non-existence or annihilation. It is not a state of eternal nothingness or extinction. Rather, it is a state of profound awakening and liberation, where the individual transcends the limitations of the ego and experiences the interconnectedness of all beings and phenomena. Nirvana is often described using metaphors such as the extinguishing of a flame, the blowing out of a candle, or the calming of a turbulent ocean. These metaphors highlight the cessation of suffering and the attainment of inner peace and tranquility. While nirvana may seem elusive or abstract, Buddhism emphasizes that it is attainable by anyone who diligently follows the path and cultivates the necessary qualities of wisdom, compassion, and ethical conduct. It is a state of freedom and liberation that lies within the potential of every sentient being. Buddhism, a spiritual tradition originating from the teachings of the Buddha, offers a unique perspective on the concept of reincarnation. Reincarnation, also known as rebirth or transmigration, is the belief that an individual's soul or consciousness continues to take on new bodies after passing. In Buddhism, the understanding of reincarnation is closely intertwined with the concepts of karma and the cycle of samsara. Reincarnation in Buddhism differs from the notion of a permanent, unchanging soul or self that transmigrates from one life to another. Instead, Buddhism posits the concept of anatta, or no-self, which asserts that there is no fixed, inherent identity or essence that persists from one life to the next. The idea of an individual self is considered an illusion, as all phenomena are impermanent and subject to change. In the Buddhist view, what carries over from one life to the next is not a personal identity, but rather the karmic imprints and tendencies accumulated through one's thoughts, words, and actions. These karmic imprints shape the conditions and circumstances of the next life, influencing the individual's experiences and opportunities for spiritual growth. Reincarnation in Buddhism is not seen as an inherently desirable state, but rather as a perpetuation of the cycle of suffering. The ultimate goal is to break free from this cycle and attain liberation from the cycle of samsara. This liberation is known as nirvana, the cessation of suffering and the realization of ultimate truth. The understanding of reincarnation in Buddhism also emphasizes the potential for personal transformation and spiritual evolution. Each life presents an opportunity for growth, learning, and the cultivation of wisdom and compassion. The aim is to use each life to develop wholesome qualities, overcome delusions and attachments, and progress on the path toward enlightenment. Buddhism recognizes that the precise workings of reincarnation and the complexities of karma are beyond the comprehension of ordinary minds. It acknowledges that the process of rebirth is influenced by a multitude of factors, including one's past actions, intentions, and the interplay of causes and conditions. While the idea of reincarnation is central to Buddhism, it is not a dogma that requires blind belief. The Buddha himself encouraged his followers to examine and investigate his teachings, encouraging a spirit of inquiry and personal understanding. In Buddhism, the path to liberation involves cultivating wisdom, ethical conduct, and mindfulness, rather than focusing solely on metaphysical speculations. Reincarnation serves as a reminder of the interconnectedness of all beings and the ethical responsibility that comes with our actions. It emphasizes the interplay between cause and effect, highlighting the importance of cultivating positive intentions and ethical behavior in order to shape a more wholesome and compassionate future. As of right now, Buddhism offers a distinct perspective on the concept of reincarnation. Reincarnation in Buddhism is intricately linked to the notions of karma and the cycle of samsara. It emphasizes the transient and impermanent nature of existence, rejecting the idea of an enduring, unchanging self. Instead, Buddhism recognizes the interplay of causes and conditions and the accumulation of karmic imprints that influence the experiences and circumstances of each successive life. Reincarnation is seen as an opportunity for spiritual growth and personal transformation, ultimately leading to liberation from the cycle of suffering. Consciousness is one of the most profound and elusive aspects of human experience. It is the state of awareness, the subjective experience of being aware of oneself and the world. Consciousness encompasses our thoughts, emotions, sensations, and perceptions, forming the basis of our reality and shaping our understanding of the world. The study of consciousness has intrigued philosophers, scientists, and thinkers throughout history. It raises profound questions about the nature of the mind, the relationship between brain and consciousness, and the fundamental mysteries of human existence. Despite centuries of investigation, consciousness remains an enigma, and its true nature continues to elude us. One of the central debates surrounding consciousness is the mind-body problem. This philosophical question explores the relationship between the physical brain and subjective experience. So, what do you make of this Buddha and his story? Be sure to leave your questions and answers in the comment section below and help us to grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.